Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to a new episode of Much Ado About Hockey here on Puritans Radio with your host, Gregory Richardson. To make up for lost time last week, I'm going to be analysing and reviewing Coventry's last two home games because on Sunday, 25th January, both myself and Ian Fleming, our amazing 007 live host, attended Pride Evening that day, and I was fortunate enough to make it to the Skydome Arena once again last weekend for the Blazers' incredible battle with the Manchester Storm. First of all, I'm pleased to say that Ian had such a fantastic time, so much so that we are both going to be going back at the end of March when current championship contenders, the Cardiff Devils, are in town during the penultimate weekend of the regular season. Bless him. There was a lot for me to explain as the game was going on, but we were both in agreement that it was a lot more entertaining than me just explaining the International Ice Hockey Federation rulebook, which I'll actually have to hand with me on today's show, as there is an important technicality for me to explain to you later on. Bearing that in mind then, I'll have a little feature entitled Referee's Corner towards the end of this week's episode. For the time being, though, it is time for you to stop whatever you're doing, strap yourselves in and brace yourselves for an evening at the ice hockey.
We're here at the Coventry Skydome watching the Fife Flyers versus the Coventry Blaze. It's a Sunday evening at the time of the recording, and I'm here with our sports presenter Gregory Richardson, who will be doing a review of the match a little bit later on this show today. So this is ice hockey at the Skydome in Coventry.
Thank you, Ian. Yes, good evening, everyone. It's Gregory Richardson here at the Skydome Arena for today's contest between 9th placed Fife Flyers and 7th placed Coventry Blaze. And as you just heard, it is very loud in here. And even though we are both just alongside each other, it is hard to hear the other person speak. Never mind, hear yourself think. Just to give you a bit more insight on tonight's venue then, the Skydome has a capacity of approximately 3,000, although it is actually unclear what the maximum number actually is, because there is standing available around the perimeter of the rink, which is what people seem to really like about this arena. In fact, funnily enough, the first time I came here, I was amazed that they would actually be playing a top division match in this very building, because it looked so small on the outside, and I'd been used to much bigger venues accommodating for 7,000 to 8,000 people growing up. Anyway, I digress. Welcome to Coventry, where this afternoon Mike Robson is going to be defending the net for the hosts, whereas Shane Owen is getting a rare opportunity between the pipes for the Fife Flyers. Just quickly, as the starting six for each team is announced, players to watch out for are number 40, David Booth for the visitors, and number 62, Jari Virtanen for the Blaze, who is currently on a hot streak. Just a reminder, or for those who do not know, the Blaze are wearing their home blue jersey and the Flyers have their standard white and yellow strip on. Right then, the referee has raised his arm to both benches and to the players on the ice for each team, indicating that it is time for face-off here in Coventry. And the puck has been dropped and the draw has been won immediately by the visitors. Just to remind all listeners, the Flyers have an extra skater because of the hooking call made against Pelec 30 seconds ago. The puck just crosses the goal line as I speak. Owen then lets Desprez have the puck. He's up to the blue line now and he feeds Booth, who looks to be on the charge. Suddenly he's one-on-one with Robson and he scores! He goes 5-0 and the home crowd are stunned, but the large number of travelling fans from the Kingdom of Fife are delighted with that, as are the players on the away bench. They raise their sticks immediately to acknowledge Booth's individual piece of brilliance, and it has to be said that the visitors from Scotland do deserve their early lead here, having already created a couple of chances even before that power play. It is not the sort of goal you would typically see from a man advantage opportunity, I will point out, but the Flyers did exceptionally well to create that counter-attack from behind their own net, and credit must go to Shane Owen for helping out his teammates there. You can just sense that Coventry are just starting to shift the momentum here. Boyson finds Mishmash, Hopkins to Clements on the blue line, and it's in! He scored! The goal buzzer is going off. The Blaze player, native to Coventry, playing in his 11th EIHL season, shot the puck towards the traffic from the blue line, and much to his surprise, it's gone past everyone into the back of the net. I am convinced that the number 58 for Coventry was looking for a tip on that, but it evaded everybody in front of Owen, and one apiece definitely feels like a fair reflection of what has happened thus far in this very entertaining first period under the Skydome roof. Fife clear the zone. They're down to 4 at the moment, so there is no icing there, remember? But look out, because Grayson Constable has gained some momentum. He's up to the defensive blue line, and he gives it to Jordan Powell, who is on his own on the left wing. He approaches Owen, and it's in. It's in. He scored. What a solo effort from the new signing. Power, who arrived in Coventry on the stroke of Christmas, has just outskated the short-handed Fife defence on the left wing, and he has lifted up the puck above Shane Owen into the top shelf. It looks as though he might have been trying to go bar down there, and even though it didn't hit the metal, it really was a clinical finish, and it is perhaps a sign that the tide is turning here in this first period. Fife regain possession now through the efforts of number 29, Samosa. No, I'm not eating samosas. I am here at the Skydome. Nielsen is in the slot. It's a goal. It's a goal. A subtle pass there to the back doorway. Keaton Jameson was positioned well enough to beat the defences of Matt Robson. That goal seems to have come from nowhere. Not much was happening there. Fife were just trying to rotate the puck in the offensive zone, and they've managed to outdo the Coventry Blaze defence there, and it is now 2-0, and that goal has certainly stunned the boisterous Skydome crowd. The question is, though, how long can Fife keep this up, Ian? Because they have arguably been the better side for most of these first 17 minutes or so, but just a few minor lapses in concentration have enabled the hosts to be on level terms in this game. The Blaze are on a power play, and they are well set up here. They're in the attacking zone. Constable, Talberg on the right, shoots it. Boyson on the rebound. He scored. The crowd are happy with that one. It's pandemonium here at the Skydome as the Blaze take the lead for the first time tonight. It's now 3-2. Blaze's number 40 has been on fire of late, as with other players, and he has struck gold once again. With just 14 seconds left before the first buzzer, that really is a blow for the Fife Flyers, who really have been quite impressive in this first period, it has to be said. Their passing has been crisper, and they have got themselves into scoring positions multiple times. But the Blaze, as usual in these last few weeks, have just found a way to shade their opponents when it was looking like it could be tricky for them. Giving up a goal so late in the period is a real shame for the Fife Flyers. It is definitely the worst time to concede, and what will be interesting now is whether Kevin Moore's team carry that momentum into the middle period when the team's change ends and the benches are reversed, which is a tricky 20 minutes to negotiate in ice hockey, and that's what makes it so interesting. So stay tuned in to find out what happened next. Indeed. I think I need to take a breather there. That really was a thoroughly enjoyable, competitive first period of hockey at the Skydome Arena that Ian and I witnessed, and I'm really pleased that he got to see a bit of a to-throw game because there was a lot going on there to take in for a first game. It is very rare to see 5 goals scored in any 20-minute period of an ice hockey game, and whilst I do not have facts and statistics, it really is in the first period, because that first 20 minutes is usually when the teams are battling it out, trying to find each other out, spot where any potential weaknesses might be, but it was just full-on attack. Neither coach would have been happy or content with those first 20 minutes, but it is crucial to capitalise on goal-scoring opportunities when you have them, and that is what both Coventry and Fife did with great aplomb in those first 20 minutes. Going back to what actually happened in the match then, and I mentioned there on commentary how important it is to not concede right at the end of the period. For that matter, neither it is a good time to concede in the first few minutes of a period. Both of those things can really impact the morale of a team, and on this occasion, it seems as though it arguably did affect the Fife Flyers. Having said that, though, they came exceedingly close to making it 3-3 in the first few moments of the second period as one of their players hit the post. Unfortunately, I did not catch the number of the player who pinged the metal, but it went from being the width of the base of the post away from being 3-3 to a sudden Coventry Blaze rampage, sparked by number 62, who I mentioned at the top of the show, Jari Virtanen. He came up trumps once again, and his pinpoint accurate slap shot found the back of the net, which meant it was 4-2 after 27 minutes or so. The goal was scored in a 4-on-4 situation, but that really changed the game. And that's what key players do. They make a difference and they change the game. And that is why Jari Virtanen is definitely a fan favourite here. Right, moving on then, because I can see that time is ticking. The Blaze really did outclass the Fife Flyers in that second period. There was only one team on the ice. Matthew Gleeson scored again on 28:45, making it 5-2. William Boyson scored on exactly 31 minutes, and Grant Mismash completed all the scoring for the game on 38:46. So once again, they scored in the closing stages of a period.
Scored by 86, Grant Mismash. That's number 86, Grant Mismash. Sponsored by MT Computer Solutions.
Thereafter, it became a case of damage limitation for the visitors, with Andrew Little replacing Shane Owen in front of the Fife net, and he was excellent in the final period. He made a brilliant save after just 14 seconds, and he made another handful of excellent saves, demonstrating his great reflexes and his talent. To have come in at 7-2 and played the way he did is testament to him. He showed some real character to stop the Blazers' procession, thus enabling a tied final period. Yes, it was 0-0 in period 3, which was a surprise to many after a 5-goal initial period and 4 more goals in the second, but that does tend to happen with a high-scoring game. They either start slowly and then increase in intensity, or they start quite quickly and peter out, and this one was certainly the latter. In terms of the table then, Fife got nothing out of the game as they were hammered, whereas the Blaze marched on, claiming yet another 2 points in an incredible month for them. In fact, the Blaze concluded January with just 2 losses, having dropped 2 points as well, both for overtime losses to the Nottingham Panthers and the Dundee Stars here at the Skydome. Their away record has been incredible since the start of 2026, including an away win to league leaders the Belfast Giants on Friday, 30th January, so just 5 days or so after defeating Fife. That then brings me to last Sunday's encounter between the Blaze and the Storm, and what a match that was. At 5:30 p.m, the lights go out and a pre-match ceremony takes place, during which Scorch the Dragon likes to make it known that he is the star of the show as the mascot. In order to give you another feel of the atmosphere, here are some sounds from the crowd just after puck drop on Sunday night. The scenes on Sunday really were incredible. You could not have scripted an end to that Blaze Storm game, even if you had tried to do so. Whilst the first period was evenly matched and no goals were scored, you had the feeling that something special was going to happen. I even said to the people sitting next to me that the game had what I described as overtime vibes. When following a sport for 16 years, you do get a feel of the game, and it seemed it would be both tense and close for the whole 60 minutes, and maybe a few extra ones. Despite the Storm having a 2-goal cushion with 3.5 minutes remaining, the Dragons fought Storm with fire and took their timeout. You're allowed 1 timeout, which is 30 seconds per game, to review what you want the team to do, and the coaches will have a whiteboard with the ice rink markings, and they'll scribble all over it, and the players somehow manage to understand what that means. There we go, they're the experts. I'm just a reporter here on Puritans Radio, and in that moment, Matt Robson was pulled and the Blaze skated 6-on-5. It took them a minute or so, but they did score through Elia Barriga thanks to Jere Virtanen's shot towards the net. Often in ice hockey, 1 brings 2, especially towards the end of the game when it is tight. Manchester folded and Coventry capitalised as ex-Dundee star Barriga was on song. His brace forced the extra 5 minutes of overtime, and they were awarded a power play due to an obvious trip from Stephen Johnson with just 30 seconds of the 60 minutes remaining. The Blaze then duly scored with a man advantage on 60-56 as Grant Mishmash's one-timer from the point beat Evan Veninger. Assists on this occasion went to Adam Robbins and, once again, Jere Virtanen, who played a lot of those last 4 minutes as a key man on the power play. As I'm sure you can imagine, the place just erupted. It was evolution, it was party mode, it was delight, it was relief, it was pure joy, it was all those emotions, and almost even more. It really did feel as if the roof could just fall off the Skydome. It was just incredible. Take a listen to this. Wow, what drama, what scenes, what chaos. 3 goals in 4 minutes to completely change the outcome of the game there. That was just spectacular. I'd never seen anything like that in all the time I'd been watching hockey. But what I did say is that the game was not over until it was actually over. And I proved to be correct in this instance. Anyway, back to the game itself then. And the match was all but over, and the coach, the Blaze coach, did everything he could to give his team a fighting chance at the end. The people sat next to me were convinced that it was over. Even when Manchester got the puck and Matt Robson was out of his goal, the person next to me just said, "Oh, that's it." I thought, nope, no, it's not. And it wasn't. It really wasn't. Because I knew from experience, I guess, that although only 4 or 5 minutes remained, it would only take 1 goal with a few minutes and everything could all change. Ultimately, that's what happened. The tide turned on the storm in dramatic, scintillating fashion, and the storm had no answers. Should they have started De Ridder? Who knows? Well, having said that, Weninger made some very impressive saves, especially in the final period prior to that mini collapse in the dying minutes. Right, that is more or less it, as I'm running out of time. But as promised, before I bring today's episode to a close, it is time for Referee's Corner. Referee's Corner. I vaguely mentioned the need to explain a technicality this week, and this is why. The Manchester Storm, piling on the pressure, earned themselves a 5-on-3, and they were rotating the puck as much as they could to create an opening. Brady Gilmer and Nick Walsh managed to manoeuvre the defence out of position, and Brandon Cutler slotted it home with a slap shot that clearly went into the net. However, at the time, the match officials waved off the goal, deeming the goal frame to have been dislodged from its grooves prior to the puck going into the net. In the past, this would have been enough for the goal to be disallowed, but recently the IIHF, otherwise known as the International Ice Hockey Federation, decided that if there was an immediate, in inverted commas, opportunity to score after the goal frame was dislodged and the puck's trajectory meant it would have gone in regardless, the goal would still stand. Therefore, the goal was given after video review, meaning that after 36 minutes, the visitors were on the board, and they then got another on the subsequent 5-on-4 through Caleb Ergang a minute and a half later. Anyway, I just felt it was important to explain why Manchester's second period equaliser was given, because I know that some Coventry fans were very upset about it. But it is worth pointing out that this rule is not black and white, and that the word or term immediate is down to the referee's interpretation on the day. So it can be a bit of a grey area. Right then, I really am out of time. The final buzzer has gone, and it is now time for me to leave the ice. Take care, everyone. I'll be back before you know it with more Much Ado About Hockey. Don't forget that in the meantime, the women's and men's Olympics ice hockey event should be on the BBC very soon. Ta-ra and take care. Ian, it's now back to you for the remainder of 007 Live.